Good morning, everyone. My name is Jennifer Hill, and I am a warrior. I am non-violent and non-aggressive. I do not fight or wage war with others. Sure, you might be saying, that's because you're from Canada. You're describing Canadians. Yes, I'm polite. I'm nice. I love maple syrup, and I love ice hockey. I am a stereotypical Canadian, but that's not what makes me a warrior. I am a warrior because I am fearless. I am a warrior because I serve others. In this talk today, I'm going to show you how to be a warrior too. How to take the values of warrior cultures from across the world and harness them to hone your craft as a teacher. I'm going to talk about how to use training and discipline in teaching, and finally, how to teach like a warrior each and every day. But because I have a story to tell you today, I will not be able to take questions during the talk itself. Please find me during the break if you'd like to discuss anything. I'd be happy to do it with you. So, let us begin our journey in ancient Japan. The Japanese samurai are an excellent example of a warrior culture. The word samurai actually means to wait upon, as a servant waits upon his lord. The code of Bushido teaches values of courage, benevolence, respect, honor, and self-control. How about the code of chivalry, followed by medieval knights in Europe? Again, let's look at the etymology of this word, knight. It is Germanic in origin, and again, it means servant. The code of chivalry includes faith, justice, temperance, hope, and valor. Do you see a pattern yet? Have I mentioned arrogance, greed, violence, or aggression? No, I haven't, because these are not the attributes of a true warrior. Finally, from my own country, the grandfather teachings of the Cree Indians. These include love, respect, humility, wisdom, bravery, and truth. So is this all what you were expecting when I mentioned a warrior? Perhaps you were expecting Bruce Lee. And you should have. He's a great example of a modern warrior because he knew this very well. In Tibet, the word warrior actually means someone who is brave, someone who has courage. And because all of this has been rather hypothetical so far, I think it's time to tell you a story. And it's a true story because it's my story. It's the story about how I became a warrior. About 10 years ago, I was living with the Cree Indians in northern Saskatchewan on a reservation. My husband was a high school teacher at the local school, and I was a substitute teacher. Just before my 30th birthday, my husband and I and a fellow teacher traveled the 1.5 hours to the nearest town to do some grocery shopping. And while I was there, my husband and I had an argument about spaghetti sauce. And the next day, my friend came up to me in the school and she said that she couldn't believe that I would allow my husband to treat me with such disrespect and unkindness. She said, do you even see it, Jen? Do you even see how he treats you? But I didn't see it. I was blinded by the cocoon that I was living in, the cocoon of my past choices, my habits, my behaviors. I had grown up in a deeply religious family, part of the Mormon church, to be precise. And I married this Mormon man out of a sense of duty to my religion and wanting to please my family, and not because I loved him. So her words helped to open my eyes and to open this cocoon. And I began to see it. I began to see how awful our relationship was. What's more, I began to see how I disrespected him and was unkind to him as well. I began to see my own cowardice. The path to warriorship starts with awareness. The key to warriorship is not being afraid of who you are. The next few months were some of the darkest of my life because I became aware that I was a coward. I felt the cocoon wrapped around me. I was consumed by my fears. I was really unhappy, but at least it was familiar, and it was comfortable after a sense. It was my cocoon. I'd made it. I was going to live in it. Besides, could anything better really be waiting for me out there? But I found I did want happiness. I wanted beauty and joy in my life. So instead of shutting my fears away, finally I started looking at them. I started acknowledging them. I didn't pretend that they weren't there. I tried to see what was underneath them, because this is what true fearlessness is. It's the ability to go beyond fear. It's not the absence of fear, but going through it. English doesn't have a good enough word for this, so fearless is the closest we're going to get. Fearlessness. But there are so many things to fear. There's a fear of death, a fear of inadequacy, a fear of loneliness, and fear of change. But what I learned in those months is that you cannot simply smash through fear. You cannot attack them with a sword or a spear. You actually have to be a bit gentle and soft. You have to be a membrane to let fear pass through you, to allow fear to take you to the other side. Fear might be as big as the ocean, but you are the boat. It can carry you to the other side. When I was in the middle of those dark months, could I have even imagined that, could I have foreseen the future? Could I have even imagined that 10 years later, I would be living in one of the most beautiful cities in the world? Could I have known that I would find such unexpected satisfaction and joy in being an English teacher? And could I have imagined you sitting there in front of me, listening to me tell my story? I could not, but I had something else. I had trust. I trusted that there had to be something better on the other side of the ocean of my fear. I couldn't see it, but it was there. And do you know what it was? It was this. That's how I became a warrior. I became aware of my fears. I had faith and trust in the universe, and then finally I did something about it. So I did a lot in the last 10 years. Of course, I left my husband, eventually divorced him. I finally found the courage to tell my friends and family that I am gay. I left the Mormon church. I moved to a city, got a new job, started working for the government, started writing my novels again. I even started managing $1 million funding program for young scientists and researchers. But that is finally enough about me. Let's talk about you. All right? Time to talk about you. Where are you on this path? Remember, awareness of your personal cocoon is the first step, and the desire to change is the second. Channeling that desire into action is what makes you a warrior. Look at us. We are all here right now. We are all warriors. And because we're warriors, we can teach like warriors. James Cook Languages knows this well. The path to warriorship is through training and discipline. When we first arrive, they pair us with senior teachers. These are our gurus, our mentors. They show us how to improve. We take additional training in the form of sessions and workshops. Each session adds to your skill as a teacher. How do you view these sessions? Just as a necessary evil, someplace you have to be on a Friday afternoon? Not anymore, because you're warriors now. You know that these sessions are a way to increase your skill as a teacher. You see training as a way to sharpen your weapons, because you also recognize the worth of what you do. Are you just teachers? No, you're not. Do you think that just because we teach adults instead of children, that our value is less? It is not. Do not lessen the impact of your life and influence for whatever reason comes to your mind first. That you're too young, you're too inexperienced, you're not a native speaker, your dream isn't to teach. Set those feelings aside. Appreciate the fact that you have gone through everything to get here. Appreciate the fact that you are here now and that you have something to offer. Your past has brought you here, and you can bring all of your hopes, fears, dreams, and experiences to the art of teaching. And find joy in it, because there is joy to be found in teaching. We've all felt it. That moment the student finally gets the past perfect. The moment you ask the concept-checking questions and they nail each and every one. There is joy in teaching. But it doesn't always happen by accident. Sometimes you have to create it. Teaching requires not only training, but discipline as well. It is not enough to have a weapon. You've been wondering about this, haven't you? It's not enough to have a weapon like this sword. You must use the training to sharpen your weapons and increase your skill as a teacher. So you sharpen it through training and your work with your senior teacher, but then the day comes that you have to wield this sword all by yourself. You have to go to your lessons alone and teach. And that is the moment that you match your natural intelligence with your skill. Think of Katniss here with her bow and arrow. All right, she's pretty badass. We like her. So look at the arrow itself. Here, an arrow denotes intelligence. An arrow just by itself is almost worthless, almost. Just as intelligence just by itself is almost worthless. But then you add the bow, which is the means to propel that arrow, and finally you have a weapon. You add a target, and finally you have impact. In teaching, what you do is you direct all of your intelligence with skill, and you will hit your target. You will make an impact. It is inevitable. Some people have pretty strange ideas about discipline. They think of being spanked as a child or of being disciplined by their parents. But today I tell you that discipline is freedom, for it is an expression of self-control and honor. And these are some of the virtues that we discussed at the beginning of the talk. The warrior's discipline is full of gentleness and awareness. Even when circumstances are difficult, he never gives up. He lives his life with a complete absence of laziness. Yeah, that's the tough one. He finds incredible joy in this journey, even with all of its ups and downs. But we are warriors now. We can teach like warriors. The first principle to being a warrior teacher is bravery. And in this instance, when I talk about bravery, I mean exactly this. Be brave enough to do your best. If you only keep one thing after this talk is over, I hope it is this one thing. Be brave enough to do your best. Your best will change from day to day. This is natural. It's all right. But if you wake up each morning and decide that today I'm going to do my best, and then you actually do it, then you can act without regret or shame. It's a very liberating concept. Just be brave enough to do your best. So, how do I try to manifest this? I take time to plan appropriate lessons for each of my students. I use the prepare, coach, and practice structure that we've been taught in all of our training because I trust that this is the best approach for teaching. Because I have a lot of students now, I take a few moments at the end of each lesson to jot down what I actually did because things do not always go according to plan. And then I refer to those notes when I plan my next lesson so that there is a natural and joyful progression to all of my work. And am I perfect? God, no. I still have a lot to learn and a lot to improve. But the goal here is progress, not perfection. And I do tend, generally, to try my best. The next principle is fierce kindness. This is intense kindness, sharp kindness. Yes, I am committed to the welfare of my students, I take an interest in their work and in their families and their hobbies. I support them and I genuinely care about them, but I also challenge them. I push them to do their best. When I ask a student for a sentence that correctly uses the gerund or an infinitive, and my student gives me something that's a little too easy, I ask them to form a negative, or a question, or a negative question. My students hate it when I ask for negative questions, but make them think. Because you know what I've realized is that my students want to be challenged. They want to make an effort. They want to finish their lessons and know without a doubt that they were strong enough in that moment to rise to my challenges. And if they can rise to my challenges, they can rise to other challenges as well. So be kind to your students, but be fierce. Challenge them. Make them think. Trust me, they won't hate you. They may not love you, but they won't hate you either. So the last principle is unconditional self-confidence. Most of us have been taught to have conditional self-confidence. We feel confident when things are going well, but we struggle to keep motivated when things are not going so well. And then we're hard on ourselves. We use negative self-words, negative self-talk. We're judgmental and harsh on ourselves. But does that really sound like the warrior's way? Indeed, it is not. Changing our attitudes towards ourselves is the first key to building confidence that does not rely on external signs of success. This is unconditional self-confidence. It's a resilient trust in your own abilities, even when circumstances are trying. When we have unconditional self-confidence, we can relax and go with the flow. We can put our trust in our training and just enjoy ourselves. We can adapt to changing circumstances, to strange questions our students may ask us. We can pull out that filler we prepared back when we were brave enough to do our best lesson planning when our first planned activity completely bombs, because that happens too. We can stop our lesson entirely just for a moment to give a struggling student some encouragement and a dose of hope. Unconditional self-confidence is vast. It is deeper and wider by far than any ocean of fear. So please recognize the cocoon of your past habits and behaviors. Become aware of them, but do not despair. Examine your fears, see what is underneath them, but then be fearless and be bold. Take some risks. Trust that there is something beautiful, something amazing beyond the ocean of your fears. You cannot see it, but it is there. Your personal Prague awaits you if you have the courage to discover it. Find time to appreciate yourself and your life. Oh, this is the best part. Go to Letna Park and have a beer. Walk along the Charles Bridge at dusk. Find joy in every aspect of your life. Find joy in speaking your bad check with the cashier at the Bila. Enjoy the smell of rain on the cobblestones in Old Town Square. Enjoy yourselves, you're here. But when the time comes to do the work, do the work. Read the methodology book we all received. Attend the trainings. Be brave enough to stop being lazy. Plan your lessons. Have some fillers, challenge your students. You have the authority to do so, not just because you're their teacher, but because you challenge yourself. They sense this, they know it. Then be genuine, have confidence in your skill, relax, and enjoy yourselves. I can see what you're thinking. Wow, Jen, isn't this a whole lot to ask of us? No, it is not, because if I can do it, so can you. Teaching like a warrior is the best teaching that there is. And now that we've come to the end of my talk, this is the part where we find out who you are. Don't just listen to me, even if there's a sword in my hand. Do something about it. Thank you very much.